What's up, guys? Welcome back to Nerd Militia. We're doing another fantasy casting. I went a little bit deeper on this one, but before we begin, go ahead and hit that like button, that subscription button, and that notification bell before we get into this. Here we go. So, today we're fan casting Xavier and Magneto of the X-Men, because as you know, Disney is reportedly going to cast or trying to cast or attempting to cast a person of color for both of these roles. So I've broken these up into teams who I think will best play off each other, and these are the actors I've chosen. So I've kept these actors kind of young. I think there's an actor or two that are a little bit older, but I think that X-Men First Class had the right idea, and I think it's something a little bit different if it's applied to and done correctly. So my first pick for Xavier is Djimon Hounsou. You might remember him from films like Gladiator, King Arthur. I believe he was one of the Fast and Furious movies, and I think he brings some prestige and some really like royalness. I don't know, in some of his roles. He brings that type of like flavor and that vibe to this character, and I think that would be awesome. His Magneto, the person playing Magneto for him, or who he'd be playing off of, is Michael Ealy. You might remember him from like Barbershop. He was in that short-lived TV show on Fox, which I really liked. It was like, I think based off of like the iRobot thing. That was pretty cool, or Being Human. He's done some other stuff, but like I think his look and attitude and the tone that he would bring would sit well with America. So my second pick would be Idris Elba as Magneto, and then his Xavier would be Denzel Washington. I think this is a great idea. I think Xavier being a little bit older than this Magneto would work just great. It would be like that older guy giving advice to this younger guy who's just like full of fury and hate for the humanity who have been just like trashing mutants left and right. And I think both these characters together would just be, it would be delicious. I think that is the two. If you got these two, I think it would be, you would tell your writers to write like, I want you to write this as if they were going to win the Oscar, and I think that's part of what's going to sell it. So for my third and final pick, I went a little younger on this, but I think they could play or be able to portray Magneto and Xavier probably in like their early 30s, maybe mid 30s, but I think it would work. And that's Nate Parker. He's the guy who made the Nate Turner movie. He was also in another like romantic comedy. I don't think that did too well. And then O'Shea Jackson as Magneto. I think Nate Parker as Xavier and O'Shea Jackson as Magneto, and O'Shea Jackson would just fit that role so well because of who his father is, and he is of course Ice Cube, and like I think that would just be like a casting call, a perfect casting call. I think he would just slide into that character because his father came from NWA, and that group was just about how segregated and how passed over and mistreated the Black community was. And so he grew up in that, and it would be easy for him to put himself into the role of Magneto, this young up and coming mutant trying to fight for equal rights. So like I said in the beginning, guys, I went a little bit deeper on this fan casting. I didn't just stop at like who I think would be great to play these actors or these characters, but I went a little bit deeper, and I went into like who I would want to write and direct this movie. So the writers for this, I think it would be a great writing team. First of all, I would have Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole come back and write this film. I think going POC, you would definitely be going, or at least getting material from Jack Kirby's run. And Jack Kirby really leaned into the civil rights era and built the X-Men world from that. And I think you already have these people in your workhouse. Why not use them to at least write this new film? And I think to add to that team of Joe Robert Cole and Ryan Coogler, I think you should add Max Landis. And Max Landis also comes from writing royalty, but he's a big enough nerd to know, like, when writing this movie, how to incorporate both some of the fantasy from these films, and then with Joe Cole and Ryan Coogler, you're getting most of the civil rights stories from that, and then to spice in some Jack Kirby stuff in there with it. So who am I thinking on directing this film? So I thought about this a lot, and he hasn't done a Marvel film yet, and I think at minimum, at least for your number one film, somebody who's going to build this world, I think you need somebody who's going to go big or go home. And I think that person for me is going to be Michael Bay. And I know what you're saying, like, oh my gosh, Vex, why Michael Bay? He's gonna like destroy. Look what he did with the Transformer things. That's neither here or there. If you really look at it, all Transformer movies have done financially great. His other films have done well too. But with Michael Bay, if you take Bad Boys 2 and Bad Boys 1, what he did well in that. And that's like both of those movies could have been acted by non people of color. Like anybody could have had those roles. And so he took the story of like these detectives who happen to be black and he filmed them great. And like it or not, most hot directors today are absolutely clones of Michael Bay. From Zack Snyder to J.J. Abrams, they are all studying at the school of Michael Bay. So why not get Michael Bay? And it would be a change in tone and picture as far as the X-Men go, because they have those vibrant costumes, and who best to get that than Michael Bay? Because that's right now, the flat tone of Marvel or the MCU has worked, and it's great, and I love it. But I think like going into like this new phase would add in new colors. Like his creative will is just amazing. I think Michael Bay is the guy you want to go to. And he can make big budgeted films, and he is filmmaking Americana. If you think about it, all his films sold perfectly because he was making these films for middle America and for young men. And let's face it, like the X-Men is full of young boy fan service, and who better to give it to us than Michael Bay? So guys, those are my picks. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for stopping by the Nerd Militia, where we read comic books and do dope shit. And as usual, guys, thanks for stopping by and stay excellent.